Tonight's project, I'm gonna build some drawers for this new set of shelves I made. Let's do it. First step, start breaking down all your sheet goods. I like to break down all my stuff with a circular saw a little bit big, and then I'll dial it in right nice and perfect on the table saw later. Little pro tip for you, use the speed square as a guide when you're making cuts with your circular saw. Okay, all my pieces are rough cut. Now I'm gonna take the table saw out, start cutting everything down to the exact measurements of what I need. Everything here should be somewhere around a 1/2 inch to 2 inches, basically too big for the drawers themselves, but the plywood is kind of a waste. A 2-inch piece of scrap is pointless anyway, right? So this gives me a little bit of insurance to make sure I can get everything perfect on the table saw. Now keep in mind, if you don't have a table saw, you can do this work with just a circular saw. But the table saw does give you repeatability in your cuts, which allows you to make everything accurate, a little bit more accurate anyway. If I was gonna do this with just a circular saw, I would definitely keep my tolerances a little bit bigger to allow myself a little bit more mistakes and have everything still fit. When you're using a table saw, you can tighten all your measurements up quite a bit and everything still slides smooth. Okay, preliminary cuts are done. Now I'm gonna change that blade out to the dado. My rabbets and my grooves, I'm gonna make all that right now. Then I'll switch it back and make the final cuts of the bottom piece and the back. Okay, dados for the sides are done to hold the back in. Now we're gonna dado the bottom piece out. So that's gonna be dados on all the front pieces and then dados on all the side pieces. I don't need the dado stack for this because I'm just doing 1/4 inch, so it's really just 2 passes with the regular saw blade. The last time I built drawers, I did dados on the front as well. I'm gonna try something different this time. I've used this a couple of times, but it's really popular on YouTube. I'm gonna give these a try. Pocket hole screws for the front, and I wanna see how it holds up and compared to a dado with nails and glue rather than screws. Let's try it out. Now that all the pocket holes are done, it's time for me to make a jig for my front handhold. I've been doing these just a cutout in the front of the drawer instead of buying hardware. So it looks good. I like the look. I really should save them because this is like my fourth one I've made now. I keep throwing them out. I make the jig, then I use that jig to trace onto each drawer. That gives me the repeatability that I'm looking for. Okay, my front pieces are about as far as I want to go right now. I'm going to put my sides on and do a little mock-up and then measure what the back is actually going to be cut. Because you have to remember the back fits into those dados. So I measured the dados at 1/4 inch, but you're setting those by hand. If for some reason I was a 1/16 off times 2, it could get the drawers a little out of skew. So I'm going to put them in place, see what the actual measurement is, and then I'll cut the backs. And then we should be able to assemble everything. All the pieces are done, I think. I'm not gonna bother to try to assemble them now. It's late, I'm gonna go home. I am home. I'm gonna go in, sleep on it, get up in the morning and assemble it. We'll see if I need to make any more tweaks. All right, day 2. I got a little sidetracked with waffles and whatnot. So I'm running late already, but we're gonna assemble these things and see how they look. All right, so let's address the pocket hole screws. Are they better than a dadoed and glued connection? No, they're not better. But if you don't have a table saw and all you have is a circular saw and an impact drill or a regular drill, then absolutely, they're a pretty good connection. Okay, the frame itself is built. Now I just need to take my measurements for my bottom piece, my 1/4 inch piece, and I've got this all squared up. I'll take my measurements, rip that down, and then we'll slide that in place and then glue it, tack it. As far as time saving, I didn't save that much time using the pocket hole screws. It was a little bit faster. I would be willing to bet if you bought the full setup and had all of the jigs to do it, it would be faster. But if you're going to spend that money, I would think maybe you just spend the money on the dado stack instead. So first drawer is assembled. I'll put it in. Make sure there's nothing terribly wrong, and then I'll do the other 2. All right, the drawers look good and they fit good. My only problem that my regrets here is that I went with an 1/8 inch of clearance on each side. I think I should have went with a 1/16 of clearance on each side. There's just a little bit more play than I would like. So if you're doing this, plan on a 1/16 for clearances on each side, unless you don't trust yourself, which I kind of didn't. So if you don't trust yourself, go with an 1/8. Another regret that I have is that I saw in a different video a craftsman purposefully cut a relief down in the sides, and that helps with friction when you're using non-hardware drawers, non-sliding hardware drawers. So I have these cut shallow purposefully for a relief. I kind of regret it. They kind of look a little ugly. They do slide nicer, but they kind of look a little ugly. I think if I was gonna do it again, I would keep the same height and I would probably jigsaw out a relief in it instead of just cutting it short. One last touch. I'm gonna put a bead of hot glue all the way along the bottom of this bottom board here. I wanna talk about quality versus quantity, because you can't ever have both, at least not the absolute of both. It can't be perfect and done in record time, at least in everything I've ever seen up to 40 years of age as of now. In construction, you need to be able to tip that scale both ways. Here's an analogy. Let's say you're working on a project. You can get that project to 95% perfect in like 10 hours. It looks really, really good. You're very happy with the project. To get the last 5% to absolute perfect, it might take you another 20 hours to make that. So you have to decide, is that worth it? I guess depending on your personality and what you're working on, maybe it is worth it. Most of the time for me, it's not worth it. I got too many things going on to spend all that time for that extra bit. If I can get a project that looks great and saves me a little bit of time, I'll usually lean that way. All right, let's glue this up. All right, I hope you enjoyed that build. I was rushing to get a lot of stuff done before I went under some very invasive surgery. So like I didn't get the full cabinet build done for you. The only thing I got for you was the drawers. The next build is very impromptu, but I'm very excited about it. It has engineering, sort of. It definitely has creativity, 100%. And it is a build project, and it fits the Christmas theme. You're never gonna guess what it is. So you're gonna have to wait 2 weeks to find out. Love you all. Talk to you later. I don't love you all, but I love a lot of you. All right. Christmas stroll.